delighted to have our guest panelists here. First, let me introduce myself. So my name is Riham Alakani. I have led marketing communications for a number of organizations, mainly in financial services. I've just seen a couple of people I used to work with a couple of companies ago. So I've had the opportunity to work at places like Prudential, Marsh, McLennan, and Freddie Mac. So with that said, I will go ahead and introduce our two panelists. So Allison Knightley, who is the marketing director of U.S. paid media at Columbia Threadneedle Investments, and Callan Young, who is the chief marketing officer at On24. Do you guys want to talk a little bit more about what you do and give us a little bit more of a deeper intro?
You want to go first?
Sure. So hi, I'm Allison Knightley. I lead our paid and social media efforts at Columbia Threadneedle Investments. Columbia Threadneedle is a large global asset management company. We have about $675 billion in AUM. And in my role, I oversee everything from our linear and CTV buys to our paid search, paid social, and programmatic. And in the last couple of years, we've started doing more and more with video. So I'm really excited to be here today with everyone to talk about that.
And I am Callan Young. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at On24. Excited to see some of our customers in the room and have some really great conversations this week with all of you. On24 is a digital engagement platform. We really help you all meet with your priority audiences virtually, kind of in that digital ecosphere, to help you learn more about them, understand them, and ultimately sell more of your products and services. I'm also coming from the perspective of being a CMO for the past 5 years. Really joining organizations, helping them drive and digitally transform how they're going to market, how they're branding themselves, and how they're positioning themselves out there to, continue to differentiate themselves as well as to ultimately drive better business results.
Great. Thank you both, and it's nice to meet you. And so when I was asked to step in to moderate this session and talk with our panelists, I was very excited because I was planning to attend it anyway. I think video is an amazing medium that we can use. I've used it even in internal presentations when I've had to, for example, present to the board a huge investment in some kind of technology we were doing. I said to our partner agency, let's do a video of the art of the possible, what the future can look like if we do this. It's just such an engaging media. And we know that during the pandemic, it took off. We were doing way more. And there's been a lot of advancements in the technology of how to create the videos, distribution, all of that. And yet it's still, can be a bit resource intensive, both humans and money. So I was very interested in hearing your perspectives and your experience with this. And we'll dive right in with the first question, which is what I was just saying. So to echo that is, how important is video in the marketing mix overall?
Yeah. So I would say for us, video is becoming more and more important for us. We use it mainly as an awareness driver. We use it really to humanize our brand. We highlight our thought leaders a lot in our video content. We try to keep it really engaging. Again, really using it to personify our brand. The asset management space is a pretty crowded one. There are a lot of big players. So for us, it really is important that our target audience, who is mainly financial intermediaries and institutions, understand who we are, what we stand for, and what our expertise is.
I think it's mission critical. How are you telling that story online? How are you engaging, getting in front of people digitally and through video is where we need to be. There's a lot of research out there today that's saying that 80% of interactions with brands and sales and engagement is going through digital channels. And 70% of people who are out there, whether it's for their personal self or for their day-to-day jobs, are looking online and going and seeking information from brands and thought leaders that they trust.
And so you mentioned that so this isn't exactly the question. Sorry, I'll
ad lib.
Yeah, a little bit. It is a very interesting topic, and as you said, asset management, as are other many financial services, it's a crowded space. It's hard to differentiate. How are you using video in a way, like pushing it through the right channels to the right audience and making sure that it differentiates you, but it also meets them where they are?
Yeah, no, totally. So we at the back half of 2023 and then all through 2024, we actually launched our first co-branded video partnership. So again, financial intermediaries and institutions. And we really wanted, one thing we really pride ourselves on internally is our commitment to independent and intense research and how our research professionals are really intertwined with one another. They're partnering together, really bouncing ideas off each other. And then those research insights are then sort of used in partnership with our portfolio managers to fuel a lot of the investment decisions that we're making each day. So one of the ways that we used video, again, in the last year and a half, we partnered with Bloomberg. They are a very research and data-driven company that a lot of our target audience is turning to, whether it be for market trends or insights. So it really felt like a natural fit for us to partner with them. We developed a series of videos that really highlight our commitment to research by focusing and sort of starring our research analysts. So we had all of these videos. They focused on very timely and relevant topics. They really went into the data that they're seeing and the different trends and how they're then partnering with the investment professionals and driving outcomes for our clients and for the firm. So partnering with Bloomberg, we saw a lot of success. We know our target audience is there. They have a lot of platforms where they're able to disseminate the content, whether it be TV, social, across their website, etc. So we've really seen great success in working with different publishers where we know our target audience is.
Yeah, I think Bloomberg is very interesting because it was a company that started off as a data company that's now a media company, and so finding partners like that who know both spaces is a great idea. Callan, what about you, both as a provider as well as a CMO who is marketing?
I think, obviously we got a good overview of the channels and partnering. And I think one thing that Allison said to really, as you're thinking about yourself or motivating your teams within this, is she knew the target audience. She knew what she wanted to say, and she had to go figure out a partner to go partner with to do it. And we know that video and partnerships and publishing, it takes time, right? And it takes a lot of resources. So don't just say, I want to go create a video for social media, or I just want to go create a video for this channel. It's really taking a minute to slow down. Who do we want to talk to? What do we want to talk to them about? And doing that strategy up front to really help you get the ROI of what you spent to go do that campaign. So I think that's the additional thing I'd emphasize within this question.
Well, and staying on that right mix topic, I think the format is important, but also the duration or the length of it. So again, I think a lot of you will have this similar experience when you're in financial services. Let's put a white paper out there. Who's reading white papers? There are people who read the research oriented, but then some won't. And so we have seen a lot more, even in the written content, being shorter, briefer, to attract attention. Are you doing the same thing with video? Are you seeing that? Have you thought about that? The kind of the length.
Yeah, we help a lot of our financial services clients do like 45-minute webinars, right? These very big thought leadership sessions where you're getting people to show up for 45 minutes. And I thought 2 years ago after COVID that people weren't going to want to show up to those anymore. But we're actually seeing more and more people show up. So don't jump to the conclusion that short form content is the only thing that you can need. If you have a good message going to the right people and somebody is willing to give you 45 minutes of their time, maximize the heck out of that 45 minutes so you can get the insight you need on those people because they're still showing up. And I was really excited. We pull our results year over year for our customers to see engagement's going up 25% in those experiences. So don't just treat that like a large conference call. Figure out they're showing up, what can I do? Because people are willing to give you more data and more insights to help you at the end of the day move your business forward. So I wouldn't put a pause on the long form content.
What
Yeah.
about you, Allison?
Yeah, no, and I would agree. And I would say we have a digital events team, and they're doing 35, 40, even an hour-long webinar, and they're seeing really great success with that too. I think, to Callan's point, making sure that the content is engaging and it's timely and relevant to the target audience is really important, and will capture them and sort of keep them interested through the duration of it. I will say, from sort of like a digital and promotional standpoint, when we're thinking about online video or social, we do continue to see that in those channels, shorter does tend to be better. So when we're working with our different creative teams and our content teams, we're really working with them to make sure that in those first, 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, if that is truly all that we're going to be able to capture, that we have our logo there, we have, a really engaging and sort of like catchy headline to like sort of hope that we hook them through. But if nothing else, they're seeing our name, our logo, our thought leader, and just something quick about us. So we're continuing to sort of focus on the short is better, especially in digital, but there are definitely places where
There's still a market for
still a market for the long form
What
content.
was like the sweet spot for the short content? I remember when we were chatting about that earlier.
Typically, we try to work with our creative team to really get it down for like 15 to 20 seconds is sort of like the sweet spot we see. Again, sometimes a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, but that's sort of where we see that we can get people to get to at least like 50, 75, and even sometimes 100% completion.
And with the longer form or longer duration videos or webinars, are you repurposing that content? I always say never let good content go to waste. If you guys are repurposing it, how are you doing that? Or
100%. So what we're seeing, and we help a lot of our financial services customers with this, is they're taking that 45-minute video that they had to take through compliance. You went through a lot of effort to create that. And they're actually looking at what were those key moments that our attendees interacted with the most, and they're getting 1-minute video clips to then go put on social media to cut down to use. They're also using that long form media to write a blog post or to give key takeaways back to their sales teams, right? To say, hey, you didn't come to this, but we were talking to your investors about XYZ. So if you're going to follow up with them, at least read this like 3-bullet thing I'm sending you, right? So there's a lot of ways, whether that's through AI or through your own teams, where you can really cut down and reuse and repurpose that content to help you support a bigger brand campaign.
any thoughts on that, Allison? Do you want to add?
Yeah, no. So for us, we do create some longer form content, and that lives, whether it be sometimes on YouTube, it might live on our site. And when we're thinking about how are we going to drive to that longer form content, or how are we going to sort of like relay our message in some digital channels, within a shorter amount of time, we are definitely thinking about and developing those like shorter promotional cut downs. Again, to Callan's point, everything we do has to go through pretty rigorous compliance. So while sometimes we wish we had the luxury of creating different videos for all of these different channels, the reality between the compliance and resources, we just can't always do that. So cutting down longer form video definitely works really well for us. I would say a lot of the times too, when we're partnering with our creative and content teams on the longer form video, we are both thinking about that long form video and the cut down sort of in tandem to make sure when we are capturing all of that content, we are also thinking about like those like 3 to 5 second, 10-second, what have you, sort of like snippets that will make for really good content in a shorter video.
That's a really interesting point because, it's not an afterthought. It's not that you create the long form and then say, now what can I do with it? You're planning ahead and saying, I'm going to repurpose this, so I have to have a mind of which bits and create it that way. Yeah. That's really interesting. So how do you evaluate whether it's working for you or not? What kind of metrics are you guys looking at?
Yeah, so I would say for us, again, because video, we're thinking of it and using it more for upper funnel branding and awareness. and engagement tactics, there really isn't, at least what we've found, there really isn't one sort of like silver bullet way to evaluate the performance of some of these like more upper funnel and branding tactics. So we sort of use a variety of different methods to really paint that full picture as to how this video content is moving the needle for us. So we're definitely always looking at those engagement metrics. So whether it be impressions, video views, views at 50, 75, or completion. So that's sort of like those like quicker hitting metrics that we're able to see, sort of in the moment. How is this video capturing people's attention? How long are they sticking around for it, etc. But we also do use a variety of different brand studies also. So whether that be with a partner, where we're doing like a forced exposure brand study, asking our target a series of questions beforehand, showing them the content, and then asking them a series of questions after. It's sort of nice to see how the needle moves from before and after viewing the content. And then also one thing that we've worked on internally that we're really, really proud of is we, about a year and a half ago, stood up a bespoke brand study with a partner called Research and Finance. So with them, because it was something that we created in partnership with them, we were able to create all of the screener questions to make sure that we were, in fact, surveying our specific target audience. And then we were able to formulate all of the questions also. So what's been great is that if we have a big video campaign, or a big marketing push, whether it be for fixed income, or this campaign we did with Bloomberg that was all about our research, we're able to ask sort of more specific brand association related questions within that. And we conducted this survey every 6 months. So it's been nice to see how some of those attributes have moved over the last year and a half that we've been conducting it. So between some of those more longer term evaluations and then the more shorter term ones from the engagement metrics, it's just nice to have all of that data and be able to sort of paint the picture as to how video is moving the needle for us.
Callan, thoughts on that? Again, both as a CMO for your own business, but also your clients asking you, how do I know if this is successful?
And I think I'll take the angle from probably more of that webinar and digital engagement channel, and how are people moving through their life cycle with you and that journey. There's always the how many people showed up, the reach, the engagement, and things like that. And I kind of like to flip and even challenge my teams to say okay, if we're getting all of these investors to show up, or these plan participants or sponsors or intermediaries or brokers, how much insight are we getting on them? How much data are we able to capture? And do we feel like we're able to do that successfully? And then what are we doing with those data and insights at the end of the day? So not only are we saying, are people engaging? Are we getting the reach? But what information are we getting back from them for our business? And are we capturing that in a way that we can then go use that? I think, I like to think in headlines sometimes as a CMO. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's what am I saying to the board? What am I saying to the executive team? It's okay, when I think about all of our, financial services companies who are talking about retirement services. Okay, we were able to get in front of 90% of our plan participants this year with our webinar and digital engagement channel. And we were able to get data points and insights of where they are within that from 50% of that group. That's a really powerful story. So don't just get caught up in the, the high level of top line metrics. Can you zoom back out and say, no, this channel, what I am doing is important because it's touching 90% of our top wealth members that we're trying to get in front of. So taking a step back, thinking about that, and attributing that story up is another way that you can go as well.
And when you're making the determination, or if you're making the determination of staying in-house or using an agency for video, what are you thinking about? And do you use both? If you do, what are the pros and cons? Maybe Allison, we can start with you.
Yeah. So I will say, for sort of tried and true video, we're going externally. We have partnerships with a couple of different agencies that we've worked with for a while. And then obviously we have our partnership with the Bloomberg production team. So for us, we're relatively resource constrained. So we just don't always have all of the equipment, all of the skill sets, whether it be the both production, post-production, et cetera. So for us, it really just continues to make sense for us to work externally with different vendors. We have people who because we've formed these really great relationships with them, they really at this point start to sort of act like an extension of our team. And we've felt that by building those relationships with them, it really has worked best for us. That said, something new that we've been really testing and working on is, I think traditionally when we think about video, we think about a person in a studio with a camera. But something that we've been thinking about more is just what we see is that just motion in general, whether it be on a website or in a social channel, can really do a great job of a little bit of an echo, capturing someone's attention. So something that we've actually been producing a lot in-house with the creative resources we have are animated charts or animated infographics. And what is great is that because the time to market is a little bit shorter, we're able, and the resource, it's not as resource heavy as like a full-blown video that we produce. We're able to turn them around quicker. We're able to produce more of them. And they're able to be a little bit more timely. So we've created some really great animated charts and infographics as part of sort of like our broader video distribution strategy. We're able to do those in-house.
Yeah, I think thinking about what you need to keep internally, what you really need to be good at, what you need experts at, and what you can fund internally and keep close to your chest and have that internal expertise is important. So when you're taking a step back, you're looking at your teams, whether you're a manager of a team, whether you're a VP or an executive, it's okay, what do we need to keep in-house? Let's prioritize that. That's that expertise. And then where maybe through things like video or digital engagement, can we find a partner who's an expert in that and can really give us that strategy that we need to grow? So thinking about it like that. And one of the newer things, and I think is interesting in a strategy that we've been taking out on 24 with my team is I found a new channel through contractors. Since the market has changed so much and there's so many people freelancing and contracting, okay, maybe I don't need to hire an agency and go through all that onboarding and do that, but maybe I can't hire a full-time person, but maybe there's somebody who's really good at something I need my internal teams to get a muscle at over the next 6 months. So I'm going to find a contractor and I'm going to hire them for 10 to 15 hours a week and have them help us start to build that and grow that out and bring us that expertise. I think it's changed the game for us as we're looking at what internal employment looks at differently. And there's definitely a model of more people in the workforce who are looking for that kind of flexible work, but giving the company their value and their insights. So
for sure. Yeah. So Callan, can you tell us what new technologies you're seeing that are impacting video content production, efficiency? And because it is now mandatory at any marketing conference to ask this question, how does AI fit into this picture?
Well, AI is definitely changing the game. And then as Allison, as you follow up, I'd love to hear more about how you all are thinking about AI. But some of the newer pieces of technology and kind of what's changing the game from video and being able to better attract and engage with your audiences is personalization. So there's a lot of studies out there that basically say somebody is more likely to, I know Prudential's in the room, right? More likely to engage with Prudential if they're getting a personalized, tailored experience and they want to do things. 80% of people want to do things with brands who do that, right? So if you can figure out a way to personalize an experience, maybe you have somebody who's investing 1% into their 401k versus you have somebody who's investing 15%, but you're doing a webinar on retirement services, right? And 401ks. If you could talk to the person who's doing that 1%, you probably want to talk to them differently than the person who's already investing 15%. And if you can figure out a way to personalize that with kind of the technology that's out there to let you do that once in one experience, you don't have to go to 2 different webinars or 2 different virtual things to 2 different audiences. So one, there's technology out there that it can allow you to do stuff at scale, but in that account-based tailored approach that I think people should definitely be looking at and thinking about, and then using AI to do the data analysis for you, give you the insights that you need. You now have a human or an AI body that can find those trends. And using AI to help you scale and get speed and break stuff up and edit stuff for you how you need to for your business. So
great. And I am mindful of time, so I'm gonna skip ahead to the last question here, which is because we want to leave some time for if there are any questions from the audience. What is top of your mind going into 25? What are you thinking about? Maybe start with you.
Yeah, so mine isn't particularly video related, but it is something that as a paid media person, I've been thinking a lot about. And there was actually a really interesting panel yesterday about AI and search. But one of the things that we're definitely thinking about is sort of how people's sort of search consumptions are changing and how companies really need to adapt to that. So there was a period of time where like the Googles or the Bing or Ask whatever sort of reigned supreme as where people went for answers to their questions. Where when I think about my own search now, if I'm looking for, clothes or restaurants or anything like that, like I'm turning to Instagram, I'm turning to TikTok, I'm turning to Pinterest, what have you. So there are just so many more places that people can be getting answers to their questions for. There's also voice activated search. People are asking their Alexas different questions they may have once been going to Google for. And then also too, when people are going to Google, they're a lot of times just getting their answer right on that first page with Google's new AI assist. So, as a company that does a lot with paid search and uses that as a traffic driver, what we're really thinking about is how can we be evolving our SEO strategies? How can we be thinking about our KPIs differently and just making sure that we're showing up in the places that people are searching and where would be relevant to show up because it's no longer just the search engine. So that's something that we're very focused on as we head into 2025 and beyond.
Callan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think
25?
2025 is going to be here before we know it. I'm thinking about one, in the answer of the video and kind of the digital ecosphere. How can we do that in a scalable way, in a way that's efficient? And I think that there's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of things that teams can do differently to get that. The digital channel is not going away. It's becoming more and more important than ever, and brand identity and a strong brand out in a digital footprint is mission critical. So how are we doing that and doing it in the most impactful way? I'd say is definitely top of mind. So
Great. So we have about 2-3 minutes for questions, and I believe there are mic runners if anyone has questions for the front here. Mike will find you.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Sophia from JP Morgan. I have two questions, if you don't mind. One is about accessibility with video, so creating like those ADA assets to accompany the video. Are you using AI for any of that, or how do you deal with that at your companies? Because that tends to kind of delay speed to market for us. And the second question is, in some user testing that we did, we saw some like negative feedback on video within our like app, if you will, because people didn't like associating a very serious app that's very transactional with like mindless scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, especially when the videos were presented in more of that mobile first format. Wonder if you have any thoughts on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll start on the ADA piece because that is a really big focus for us. In the past year, we've actually worked with a third party who evaluates all of our web content and actually provides us with an accessibility score each year. And we have benchmarks, or they actually provide it monthly. We have benchmarks that we strive to hit. So accessibility has been a really big focus for us in terms of video. Always making sure that we have captions on everything, whether it be burned indirectly to the video or uploaded as an SRT file. So that's been a really big focus for us, making sure everything has that, making sure that we have any sort of like metadata also included. So our content is sort of accessible to all audiences is really important.
And any thoughts on the how to solve for video embedded in an app where I guess people are not engaging with it, or giving negative feedback on?
Well, I
where
mean,
it's-
one, great, you're getting feedback. Like you're actually capturing feedback, you're taking that feedback and you're trying to figure out how to solve it as a team. I don't know if a lot of people are doing that. So that one, you have that data. So I think making optimizations and changing. I don't have very specific tactical recommendations for you, but it sounds like you have a feedback loop where you can kind of test and do different things, or decide just to take video out all on your own because the customers and the people in the app are giving you that feedback. So
one more question. and then we're a little-
Related to the last topic, can you customize or should you customize the length and the content in a video to the specific audience? I'm thinking, is somebody a retiree is maybe got a different attention span and desire for information than somebody scrolling on Instagram?
I think, Callan, you were talking a little bit about personalization. Maybe the formats as well.
Personalization is huge. So Fidelity is doing just that. They're cycling that through based on kind of where that person is in their retirement age. And most of our customers who are leading with personalization, I can't say Fidelity's exact answer on that, but like they're seeing a 30% engagement with the ads, with the stuff that they're putting out with those digital experiences. So it's happening. Figuring out how to do that is mission critical, and it's definitely paying off in dividends.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's all the time we have, but thank you so much, both of you. It was very interesting. I appreciate it. So will join me in thanking the panelists.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.